Right. And what's interesting is that, later on, once you started releasing music, you weren't talking about Bloods.
No.
I mean, you were talking about gang banging,
Right.
but you didn't specifically mention, your set. You didn't mention.
Well, there was one time I did, which was throw your set in the air, giving up the family up and down Central.
Oh, okay.
Right, and because that's where our
Family Swan Bloods.
yeah.
But when
Central
you
and San Pedro, but it was never really overtly like you said.
Right. Well, because I remember speaking. I forgot who I was speaking to. Was it Mob James? Where DJ Quick was like the first person to really start claiming sets on a record.
Yeah.
NWA, once again, gang banging, whatever, but you never heard Eazy-E say Kelly Park Crips.
Right.
Or anything else like that. DJ Quick was the first one to actually say what blood set he's from. Was it a
Treetop?
Treetop, yeah. And then later on, it just started to kind of, MC8 started claiming his, and then, more and more hip hop groups. Now it's common, but back then.
Yeah, it was uncommon back then.
It was just all hush hush. Like, we're not trying to put all that out there.
Yeah, for me, it was like I made a choice, right? Just like I made a choice when I started banging. This was my choice, okay? So I have to accept what happens with these choices. So, like, obviously, the trajectory is I could either end up in prison or dead, paralyzed, or just this shit lifelong. And this is what I'm gonna do, right? This is my choice. So whatever happens to me, I chose this. When I started fucking with music, I chose the music, right? And I said, you know what? I cannot bring none of this shit into the music because this is something different. This is something that's, to me, like the fact that Sen Dog and Muggs and Mellow came and got me to make music. They said, hey, listen, we know you're doing this shit over here, but why don't you try come writing songs? And at first I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm right here. We ain't gonna make no money rapping. You know what I'm saying? I was totally like on some bullshit. I was indoctrinated. I was washed. This is what I wanted to do. I couldn't see anything else. But somehow they convinced me. They're like, well, what do you got to lose? Just come fucking write a song. And if you don't like it, fuck it. You come back here. And so I said, all right, fuck it. And so I wrote a couple songs for Mellow's first album. And it let me know that I could still do it. Because before I got into gangbanging, we was into hip hop. We was, on some rap shit, on some b-boy shit. Mm-hmm. But I let all that go when I got into the gangbanging and fucking... when these dudes brought it back to me, I got bit by that bug of creativity and writing. I thought, fuck, I could still do this, hold up. And I was kind of, straggling between banging and making music. And then eventually, when we made our first demo, that's when I chose. I was like, you know what? I cannot bring this shit into this one because I don't want to fuck up the opportunity that these dudes brought to me. I don't want to fuck up their opportunity because they saw fit to come pull me out and give me a shot. And I don't want to fuck their chance up. So I'm going to leave this shit over here and I'm going to put my time, energy, and focus in here. And, it was a simple conversation I had with my homies, because within a gang, you have cliques within the clique. Because if you got a gang of 200 people, not everybody is close and not everybody's cliquish together. Everybody has their own group within that set. And I told my homies, like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go do this shit. And they're like, we got you. Handle that shit. Don't worry about this shit over here. Fuck this. It's gonna be here. You don't need to be around for this shit. Go do that. And they always had my back with that shit. And yeah, I would imagine that there's some motherfuckers who's like, oh man, yeah, leave the hood and shit like that. But hey, listen, if you got a talent and you got an opportunity, you best jump on that shit. I had homies, a support system that, one, they came and got me. Two, they made me feel like as though I could do it. Like, hey, listen, this is what you should be doing. As opposed to just, fuck it. Do what you're gonna do. Let yourself go waste away. I had homies that gave a fuck. So that was that helped me push through to leave that life behind and focus on music, you know. And I would make reference to some of the shit, you know, in relation to my set and like in terms of claiming it, but I didn't overtly like glorify it.
You weren't in red rags on your covers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nah, because I wasn't trying to fuel a fire, if you will. I was trying to show that there is a way out of that shit.